Hot takes. You had them. You sent them in. And now I'm going to talk about them. What's up, everybody? It's JJ Buckets, and I just told you the drill. We got hot takes coming in today for this next installment of JJ's Mailbag, and I'm going to respond to them. If you want to see yours featured on here in the future, just keep a lookout on my socials and on YouTube, because I can apparently make community posts now, which is cool. I pick out the best ones, I feature them in the video, and yeah, that is pretty much it. So before I hop into things, just make sure to leave a like on the video, subscribe if you're new here. Both those things go a long way for me, and I truly appreciate them. But besides for that, let's hop into the first one. Raptors will regret passing on Desmond Bane for Malachi Flynn. They probably already do. This is an interesting one off the bat, because naturally we know that the Raptors have probably been one of the best drafting teams in this past decade or so, I'd say. Whatever time frame you want to put it at, but they have been one of the best drafting teams in the NBA of late. But I do think this take has some credence to it. It has some validity in what is being said, because Bane, I think, first of all, is somebody that can be a natural fit on a lot of teams, most teams really. Obviously, like, his shooting percentages in terms of, in particular, his 3-point is a little down this season, but again, like, his usage is up, so I feel like those will eventually kind of meet in the middle somewhere, and his shooting percentages are going to go back up. And yeah, like, he's an easy plug and play guy into like so many lineups. You can get so much value out of him. And with Malachi Flynn, I think it's just such a running joke at this point that Nick Nurse is just not a fan of Malachi. And even this season, where I think a lot of people anticipated a sizable role for Malachi Flynn, to an extent, myself included, Delano Banton has come in and kind of stolen that thunder almost immediately. So, I don't know, I'm somewhat inclined to agree. On one hand, I don't want to jump the gun, because obviously it's still really early in both their careers, like it's the second season for both of them, but at the same time, early on at least, yeah, this one has some validity to it. Speaking of Delano Banton, Rexdale Mans is gonna be a star. I mean, bro, we are 12 games into the season. It's really early to be making that call. I think he's looked better than I think a lot of people anticipated. In particular, I think he's had a bigger role early on than most people probably would have thought. Delano's been really solid. I think he's gonna be a very good role player for the Raptors this season in the minutes that he gets. But to make projections of him being a star this early, I'm not comfortable going there like yet. At this point, it's better for the Raptors to tank than make the playoffs. We are, as I said on the last segment, we are 12 games into the season. What does at this point mean? I'm gonna say no, at least for now. If we get to the point in the season, kind of similar to last year, where they are like struggling to make the play-in, struggling to hold down a playoff spot, at that point I will, similar to last season, support the position that, yeah, it's better to just dip down a little bit in terms of your record and get a better player for it from the NBA draft. However, we're 12 games into the season. Team is 6-6. There's a lot of good talent here that can potentially, at worst, I think, be competitive and be an annoying out for every team that is a real contender. I would say, as of now, the Raptors should definitely compete. I think the Raptors' best case scenario are definitely a playoff team. Like I said way back earlier in the offseason, I think 6 to 8 seed is very realistic for this team. That is still more or less where I would project them to finish by season's end. So at this point, no, I think the Raptors should be playing to win games, not to lose them. The Raptors are making the Eastern Conference Finals. Oh, Warwick, man. I got a lot of love for you. You know that. No. No. I just don't see this one. I really don't. I think the Raptors are a good team. Definitely are. Like I said in the previous segment, I think they're probably a playoff team in the best case scenario if they play up to the full capabilities. Hell, they may even steal a series off a really good regular season team that just isn't built for the playoffs. But I don't know. Like, I don't see them making the Eastern Conference Finals. For the most part, I still think the Nets are as good of a lock as any to at least be in the Eastern Conference Finals. I think the Bucks are definitely going to round into shape. I know they've had a slow start out of the gate here, but I don't think they're as bad, I would say, as their initial sample size would say. Again, like, they've dealt with injuries and stuff like that. Like, they're a damn good team, and they're obviously the defending NBA champions. I feel like a lot of people forget about that. Or at least don't talk about it enough. Like, it's really funny. They won the title last year, and I don't know. I don't feel like people talk about them like the reigning defending NBA champions. Past that, I still am intrigued with the Philadelphia 76ers. Obviously, they have the whole Ben Simmons situation looming over them now. And as much as they haven't pulled the trigger on it yet because Daryl Morey wants Lord knows what for, for Ben Simmons. But if they get a good deal done there and they add more pieces, I think the Sixers are realistically in that mix. The Miami Heat look really solid with Kyle Lowry and the addition of PJ Tucker. Other guys, Tyler Hero's obviously having a huge bounce back season as well after a sophomore slump. He's been a really good sixth man for that team. Oh my goodness, like there's a lot of quality talent in the Eastern Conference that at the end of the day, I just don't see the Raptors beating out. I haven't even talked about the Chicago Bulls. These are all teams that I think realistically I could see in the Eastern Conference Finals before the Raptors. No, the Raptors are not making the Eastern Conference Finals. OG makes an All-NBA defensive team this year and makes an All-Star team next year. In 3 years, Scottie Barnes and OG will be the most dynamic two-way wing duo in the league. I like this one. I like this one a lot. First of all, for anybody that's been following my channel for an extended period of time, you know I have been a strong advocate for the fact that OG Aninobi has been snubbed twice for an All-NBA defensive team. So, hopefully, if the Raptors are better this year than they were last year and they are a playoff team, he finally gets the recognition he deserves. So OG Aninobi on the all-defensive team, I am all for it. I think the All-Star berth is also realistic for next year as well. We've seen OG early out of the gate this season. He continues time and time again after every offseason. He adds more and more to the bag. He gets more comfortable at doing things that he wasn't previously good at. He's like with this season, you see the improvements with his scoring off the dribble. Obviously, he's not great at it, but again, you're seeing the improvements. You're seeing him constantly getting better. So him being an all-star next year is very realistic. As for the latter part of this, in terms of it's the specific wording here of the most dynamic two-way wing duo, 3 years. That's interesting. That's really interesting. My only issue with this is with the NBA, we've seen it ever since the player empowerment movement and the, obviously free agency just taking such a big role in the way teams come together that it's hard to project who's going to be on what team 3 years down the line, who might potentially team up in terms of, dynamic two-way wings. Obviously, you have like Paul George and Kawhi right now. You never know where these duos are going to sprout from, especially because if we're talking about that example, Like the Paul George trade, I know a lot of people don't remember, or I don't want to say don't remember, but maybe it's not fresh in their minds. But the Paul George trade, when Kawhi went to the Clippers, really materialized out of nowhere. So these teams come together out of nowhere. These duos come together behind closed doors, and we just don't know about it sometimes. So I agree with the first part of this, absolutely. I swear, OG, like he better get, he needs his clout. He deserves his clout. Definitely with you on the first part here. As for the second part, I'm inclined to believe that it's a real possibility for sure, but just because of the uncertainty and unpredictability in the National Basketball Association, I'm a little hesitant to go full in on that statement. The Raptors are better without Spicy P. Oof. Okay. I understand that I'm going to come at this from, first of all, sorry, let me backtrack. I'm going to come at this from a few different, I guess, positions. Pascal just came back. Let's not be this harsh. We don't have a large sample size for what Pascal looks like with this team. And he's fresh off of surgery, right? Or like fresh off of rehab, all that stuff. I am incredibly hesitant to say that until we see a bigger sample size of what this team looks like and what the collective of these guys on the floor together looks like. So I'm not going to jump the gun on that one and say that. However, I do think there are more natural fits to this team than having Pascal Siakam at the 5. I think that's fair to say. I understand positionless basketball, and obviously you have some good size with Barnes and like strength and versatility with OG to make up for, you know, small balling potentially with Pascal at the 5. But in that regard, fit-wise, there are better fits out there. I'm gonna throw this one in here, and I'm gonna preface this with, it is a pipe dream and probably unrealistic. Not probably, very unrealistic to an extent. But I would monitor, at the very least, I would monitor the situation with DeAndre Ayton and the Phoenix Suns. Obviously, they did not get an extension done this offseason, or like early this season, basically before the rookie extension deadline for Ayton. And if the Suns don't want to pay Ayton, I could see him fitting really well onto this team. And if it comes for the price of Pascal, here is my flaming hot take for the day. So be it. Wow, I did not expect to be this, ironically, spicy today. But yeah, I feel that way. Now, again, pipe dream, somewhat unrealistic because, again, like Phoenix still holds his rights as a restricted free agent regardless. But if it's on the table, for whatever reason, I take that. There you have it. That is your mailbag for the day. Those are your hot takes for the day. A lot has been said. There's a comment section for you to say more. So chime in below. Don't let your voice go unheard. Let's talk about it. Let's talk about everything. Other than that, shocker. The usual drill, right? If you haven't already, like the video. It goes such a long way for me, and I truly appreciate it every time you folks do it. If you're new here, hit the subscribe button. 1K, 1K, 1K. I want to hit 1K. Help me hit 1K. So that is going to do it for me today. I hope you enjoyed this video. I always enjoy making these. I always enjoy kind of having that little back and forth between the people that submit these and myself. Yeah, that is going to be that. Keep a lookout for next time I make the posts to be featured in future videos like this. And yeah, this is JJ Buckets. signing off.